indescribable trauma and mental breakdown that follow a loved one's death are painful and leave an everlasting impression, especially when the killers display no remorse. This is the root cause of the victim's family's violent and emotional reaction to the killer of their child. Here are some parents' reactions in court. Starting with the Michael Madison case. Michael Madison was a serial murderer who, between 2012 and 2013, was subject to numerous accusations in Ohio, including 3 counts of murder. Before his arrest, Michael murdered 3 women. During his preliminary hearing, Michael Madison finds out just how serious his crime is.
Mr. Madison, I'm going to read to you the nature of the charges against you and summarize each one for you, as well as giving you the potential penalties. I know you've had a chance to speak with counsel, is that correct, sir? In the first charge, you're charged with aggravated murder in violation of Ohio Revised Code 2903.01. It states that on or about the 22nd day of July, you did purposely cause the death of an unidentified female while committing another felony. The offense was committed 1 week to 9 months prior to the finding of the body. That is a Jane Doe murder. The second murder is the same date, on or about the 22nd day of July. Michael Madison did purposely cause the death of an Angela Deskins while committing another felony. The offense was committed 3 weeks or a few weeks prior to the finding of the body. And then there's a third murder charge. On or about the 22nd day of July, Michael Madison did purposely cause the death of an unidentified female while committing another felony. The offense was committed 1 week to 1 month prior to the finding of the body. All of those are felonies of the first degree because they are aggravated murder. They are punishable by a possible death or life in prison and a $100,000 fine. You understand that?
Yes. One of the victim's fathers, Ven Terry, is now speaking to the judge in court.
How you doing, Your Honor? My name is Van Terry. Right now, I guess we're supposed to, in our hearts, forgive this clown.
Van Terry now looks over at Michael and addresses him by name.
Take it, my child.
Nevertheless, Michael's grinning at Van Terry in court was the true shocking moment. Once the authorities regained control, the trial could resume, and now the judge gave her verdict.
I am struck by the sheer inhumanity of what one human being could do to not one, but 3 human beings. It is incomprehensible. You cajoled, lured, and deceived Shatisha Shealy, Angela Deskins, and Sherelda Terry to your apartment for your depraved purposes. You went on to abuse the corpses of these 3 victims. You stripped them from the waist down. You folded them in half, binding them so that their feet were up by their ears. You wrapped them in multiple layers of trash bags, and you discarded them. Upon consideration of the relevant evidence, the testimony exhibits admitted in mitigation, it is the judgment of this court that the aggravated circumstances of course of conduct, felony murder, kidnapping, felony murder, rape, of which the defendant was convicted, outweigh the mitigating factors by proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Accordingly, the sentence of death is imposed upon the defendant Michael Madison on counts 1, 4, and 7.
Those closest to the victims shared their condolences after the punishment. The execution of Michael Madison has not yet taken place, and he is still in prison. This won't be the first time a victim's parent lunges after their children's killer. The case of Lindy Jones would leave you in shock. This is 19-year-old Lindy Jones, who's facing murder charges in South Carolina. In August 2019, Lindy killed 18-year-old Willie Antoine Fields. He and his younger brother, Jalen, were arrested following authorities' investigation. Now that Lindy is in court, Angela Fields, the victim's mother, has some things to say to her son's murderer.
Your Honor, I just want to let you know just what they took from me. They took away my only child. It's been so hard.
Willie Clay Fields, while trying to console Angela, couldn't take it anymore, so he lunges towards Lindy. The police were able to separate him from Lindy. Lindy got a 35-year prison term, while Jalen got a 6-year juvenile sentence. Willie's reaction is similar to the reaction of a family member in our next case. We are in the sentencing of 18-year-old Payton Gendron, who is facing numerous murder accusations on May 14th, 2022.
Oh my God, he shot so many people in there.
Tragically, 10 black individuals were killed and 3 others injured when white supremacist Payton shot at a black-dominated Tops Friendly Market in New York. Authorities subsequently apprehended Payton. While he was arraigned in court, the victim's loved ones expressed their emotions to him.
So do I hate you? No. Do I want you to die? No. I want you to stay alive. I want you to think about this every day of your life. It hurts so bad. It hurts so bad. But I'm gonna pray for you. And I want everyone to just pray for all the families that we can get through this, because right now, almost a year later, I still feel like my life will never be the same, ever. It'll never be the same.
Our grandmother went to buy seeds for her garden on May 14th, 2022. She may not have been able to plant those seeds, but the seeds that she planted throughout her life are abundant. We find strength in knowing that her legacy will outlive you. You will simply go from a name to a number. You will be herded like cattle. You will be shut away from the world. You will not enjoy family events. You will not enjoy outings with friends. You will be nameless and faceless, and we feel sorry for you. We pity you even. Your life was meaningless before May 14th, 2022, and you woke up every day feeling small. You clearly did not value your own life, which allowed you to devalue the lives of others.
I watched you kill my mom. I watched you on the internet. I watched you shoot her once, reload, and shoot her again.
I don't think of her like this. I need this picture to remind me. She was a beautiful girl. I think of her alone, laying on the pavement for hours. I've never been able to see or touch her after that day. I have been profoundly changed.
Barbara Massey's victim impact statement was undoubtedly one of the most emotional remarks in court.
You gonna come to our city and decide you don't like black people. Man, you don't know a damn thing about black people. We're human. We like our kids to go to good schools. We love our kids.
While she was still giving her remark, a concerned family member standing by made a move towards Payton.
We never go in those neighborhoods and take people out. Don't do it.
Fortunately, the cops were able to put the situation under control. Payton now has the opportunity to speak.
I'm very sorry for all the pain I forced the victims and their families to suffer through. I'm very sorry for stealing the lives of your loved ones. If cannot express how much I regret all the decisions I made leading up to my actions on May 14th. I did a terrible thing that day. I shot and killed people because they were black. Looking back now, I can't believe I actually did it. I believed what I read online and acted out of hate. I know I can't take it back, but I wish I could. And I don't want anyone to be inspired by me and what I did.
The judge handed down a life sentence without parole to Payton.
There is no place for you or your ignorant, hateful, and evil ideologies in a civilized society. There can be no mercy for you, no understanding, no second chances. The damage you have caused is too great, and the people you have hurt are too valuable to this community. You will never see the light of day as a free man ever again. It is the judgment of this court for your conviction under the first count of the indictment, a domestic act of terrorism motivated by hate in the first degree, an A1 felony, that you be sentenced to life imprisonment without parole.
Our next courtroom reaction is quite similar to Payton's courtroom case. This is 25-year-old Tristan Lamoreaux in court facing sentencing for first-degree murder charges. On August 23, 2009, Tristan shot his wife, Misty Lamoreaux, who was 19 years old, in their home. Tristan was later apprehended and is currently facing trial in court. Tristan is given the death gaze as Misty's brother, Jason Wilson, who approaches the podium to give a victim impact statement. While explaining to the court the impact the murder has had on him, Tristan continues to rock back and forth in his chair as if nothing is wrong. Jason's attention is now shifted to Tristan, the killer of his sister, whose attitude of being unremorseful enrages him. Fortunately, the deputies were there to prevent any serious harm from coming to Tristan. After the mayhem subsided, the officers established order, and ultimately, Tristan received a 15 to life sentence. If you think Jason's outburst was inappropriate, then wait till you hear about Larry Nassar's case. Larry Nassar, a former USA gymnastics doctor at Michigan State University, faces several charges for sexually assaulting more than 250 girls and young women while they were under the pretense of receiving medical treatment. Nassar was a doctor for USA Gymnastics, treating athletes for 4 Olympic Games. A 2016 investigation by the Indianapolis Star and the USA Today network exposed the sexual abuse of Larry Nassar and other coaches and personnel of USA Gymnastics.
Get it? Why didn't she say something if she was feeling violated in any way, shape, and form? There was no communication.
Okay. Do you ever get aroused during these exams?
I shouldn't be getting during an exam.
Right. Well, this is why I'm talking to you about this, because this young girl and her mother both observed this on more than one occasion during treatment.
If there was arousal, it's. I mean, like it would be because of whatever. I don't know, but I'm not trying to.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
When you're a guy, sometimes you get.
The investigation also shows how the USA Gymnastics had ignored and covered up claims of sexual abuse by these individuals for decades. Some of Nassar's victims, including 2 of Randall's 5 daughters, gave victim impact statements in court.
My mind immediately thought about the time when I was 13, just a kid, laying on a table at MSU, and you put your ungloved hands all over my rear and slipped your thumb into the most private area of my body.
Then, without gloves, Nassar accidentally touched me in a place where no man has any business being without permission.
The victims' parents were not left out.
I don't know who you are now. Maybe I never knew. Maybe none of us did. But Larry, you did this to yourself, and you did this to us.
Inmate Nassar. That is what your name is. And don't you forget that.
And while we all are moving mountains, You, Larry, will have no choice but to sit in prison and wait to die. I will be out in the real world, thriving, empowering, and standing by others, while you rot in a prison cell the rest of your life.
You hid for years behind Olympic rings and a Spartan head, but there is now nowhere left for you to hide, Larry.
Perhaps one of the hilarious moments in court was when Randall Margraves, one of the victim's fathers, asked the judge to give him and Nassar some time alone in the locker room.
In a courtroom, we don't use profanity, but if you have some words that you would like to say, I would like to give you the opportunity to say them.
I would ask you to, as part of this sentencing, to grant me 5 minutes in a locked room with this demon.
I have
Would
a feeling.
you do that?
That is not how
Yes
our. No, sir, I can't.
Would you
do
give me
that.
1 minute?
He takes things personally by advancing towards Larry. The deputies from the court quickly subdued him.
You know that I can't do that. That's not how our legal system works.
Stay down. Stay down. Press Morgan. I'll stay down. Matt, get over here, Matthew. Hurry up.
I want that stuff
Behind your back.
Give me 1 minute with that.
Nassar pleaded guilty to all counts and received a jail term of up to 175 years for possessing child pornography.
What I'm feeling pales in comparison to the pain, trauma, and emotional destruction that all of you have experienced. There are no words that can describe the depth and breadth of how sorry I am for what has occurred. An acceptable apology.
I find that you don't get it, that you're a danger. You remain a danger. I am a judge who believes in life and rehabilitation when rehabilitation is possible. I have many defendants come back here and show me the great things they've done in their lives after probation, after parole. I don't find that's possible with you. Your decision to assault was precise, calculated, manipulative, devious, despicable. I don't have add words because your survivors have said all of that. I don't want to repeat it. Sir, I'm giving you 175 years, which is 2,100 months. I just signed your death warrant. I need everyone to be quiet. I self-contempt powers. I told you I'm not nice. Thank you. That's all for the record.
If you think Randall's outburst should be charged with contempt of court, our next victim's parent reaction will shock you.
What the is wrong with you? You are a sick person, and I wish to God somebody would you up in pieces, because that's what you deserve.
This was the victim impact statement by one of the parents who Scot Schweickert murdered. Scot Schweickert and the notorious criminal Stephen Lorenzo were involved in the murder of 26-year-old Jason Galehouse and 26-year-old Michael Walcoles in December 2003. During a terrifying incident, Schweickert and Lorenzo took clients out of the Tampa nightclub on 2 separate occasions. But tragically, none of them survived past the following day. When they were arrested and charged to court, the prosecutor had this to say about the 2 murderers.
Mr. Lorenzo, sitting on the bed with Mr. Galehouse lying on the bed, tied to the bed, at his ankles and in his hands, did a chokehold on Mr. Galehouse from behind. That chokehold is what killed him. Mr. Galehouse was killed. His body was wrapped and put on a trailer in the driveway of Mr. Lorenzo's home. Mr. Schweickert and Mr. Lorenzo went to breakfast. They went to Home Depot to buy supplies. The supplies that they needed included contractor garbage bags, the large, very strong garbage bags. They then went back to Mr. Lorenzo's house. Mr. Schweickert will tell you that they carried Mr. Galehouse's body into the garage where he was dismembered. Head and torso stayed together.
In a victim impact statement, Jason's mother finally confronted her son's killer after years of waiting and she didn't hold back in her anger or emotion.
Away from me. I don't even have a grave, a body, or a tombstone. I have the city dump with my son ground up like hamburger meat in the dirt.
Schweickert avoided execution by pleading guilty. In his statement, Lorenzo pretended to be a bondage master and said that the victims had agreed to be in a bondage video with them. However, when they realized the victims would report them to the police, they decided to kill them. Lorenzo was already serving time for a federal drug charge and would receive his sentence upon his release. However outspoken Jason's mother is, it can't be compared to Donald's emotional outburst in the next courtroom reaction. Lukace Kendle, now 37 years old, has been convicted of second-degree murder and attempted second-degree murder. He was born on May 5, 1986. Kendle shot and killed one person and left the other crippled. It was a typical day, and everyone was going about their business as usual when Kendle opened fire. Kendle also chose to defend himself during the trial, which was a bold decision given the seriousness of the allegations. While in court, Kendle claimed that the evidence was contrived. The judge warned Kendle, but he ignored it. Kendle persisted in his statements, claiming that his detention was directly linked to the shooting of George Zimmerman. After his appeals failed, Kendle opted to plead insanity, which caused Donald Byrd, Kiwan's father, to lose it. He went on an emotional tirade, insisting that Kendle is perfectly sane and that he belongs in prison, not a mental institution.
You don't need to be laying no mental hospital. He need to go to prison, man. Come on, sir. He want to play crazy. He wasn't crazy when he murdered my son, man. He wasn't crazy then, but he crazy now. All of a sudden he crazy now. You want to lay in a mental hospital? You done murdered my son, man, for nothing. When he was trying to get away from you. You was trying to get away from you, man. And you kept shooting him while his back was under the truck. You kept shooting him, man. You kept shooting him in his back. His back was turned to you, man. He was trying to get away from you. And you murdered him, man, like that. You murdered him, man, like that. Why you doing it like that, man? And you want to play crazy, man? He ain't crazy. He ain't crazy, man.
After a while, the courtroom staff removed Donald from the courtroom. Life in prison without the possibility of parole for second-degree murder of Byrd, and 30 years in jail without the possibility of parole for attempted second-degree murder, with each conviction carrying a minimum obligatory sentence of 25 years. Donald's emotional outburst is similar to that of Clarissa in the next courtroom reaction. Here we have Mitchell Savickas, who in January 2016, along with his then 16-year-old accomplice Daniel Benavides, shot and killed Isaiah Blue, a youngster from Michigan. Daniel Benavides, Savickas' brother, pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and received a sentence of 20 to 40 years in jail. Despite being in possession of a toy gun and an accomplice in the heist, the jury found 19-year-old Savickas guilty of criminal murder and handed down a life sentence. Savickas and Blue met when they were both serving terms in the juvenile detention, and he admitted in court to have disliked Blue, while Savickas, who was representing himself in court, asserted that he fired at Blue in self-defense. The police and surveillance film revealed otherwise. The judge at trial summons Isaiah Blue's mother, Clarissa Seaton, to deliver a victim impact statement. In the middle of her anguish, Seaton confronted her son's murderers, whom she slammed as two cowards with guns who decided to play God.
As a mother, I cannot help but to feel sorry for you. You are too young to be here. You have not only stolen from me, you stolen from those that love you too. You stole from yourself. Don't blindly follow selfish people. Following your brother is why you are here now. He did not think about my son or you. As much as I want to hate you, I can't. You are just a kid. You think you know how it works, but you don't know anything.
Benavides apologized to Blue's family, but Savickas didn't say anything else when given the opportunity to speak.
I want to apologize to Isaiah Blue's mother, his friends, and the rest of his family. I'm not a good speaker and all, but these words coming from my heart. I'm not expecting forgiveness. I don't want forgiveness. I I just hope and pray I get understanding that my intentions weren't for Isaiah Blue to pass away that night.
Clarissa Seaton's emotional statement in court can't be compared to the outburst of Diamond Alvarez's mom. On January 11th, 2023, Diamond Alvarez's mother was there during the trial of Frank DeLeon Jr., a 19-year-old who shot and killed their 16-year-old daughter. According to police investigations, both Diamond and Frank were in a relationship, but close to breaking up with each other when the incident happened. While in court, Diamond's mom gave a victim's impact statement, but couldn't bear Frank's reaction, and she lunged at him. While she was held back, Diamond's uncle came after Frank. Frank's mother responded in Frank's defense by going after Diamond's mother. Diamond's aunt retaliated by going after her as well. The police were able to manage the situation by separating the families.
It was wrong of me. That was wrong of us because we're not monsters. But it's so much hate because I want my daughter back. And what he did was horrible. Seeing my daughter there and looking at him that he did that and he's laughing in my face. It was very wrong, and I'm so sorry for that.
As a result of his guilty plea, Frank received a 45-year prison term. Diamond's mother's reaction in court is similar to Hughes's in the next court case. This is Tonio Hughes, who attended the trial of Deshaun Brown in a Cincinnati courtroom. Brown is accused of the horrific murder of 29-year-old Natisha Lattimore and their 3-year-old son, Nilos. Investigators have speculated that little Nilos was thrown into the Ohio River, while the body of Natisha was found near a bridge. The Hamilton County Prosecutor's Office has declared 20-year-old Deshaun Brown fit to stand trial. Natisha had filed a no-contact request against Brown, who was Natisha's ex-boyfriend and had a history of abuse. During the court hearing, Deshaun's lawyer claimed Brown was suffering mental illness, and under Ohio law, this disqualified him from receiving the death penalty. The judge, however, was not convinced, and instead asked for an independent expert to assess the accused Brown. Hughes unexpectedly lunged at Brown from behind during the motion hearing, but was subdued by the deputies. After being held on contempt of court charges, Hughes spent 7 days in the Hamilton County Justice Center before being released 3 days prior to the scheduled sentencing. Brown is still behind bars, waiting for his final sentencing. If you think you had seen enough court drama, then wait till you see our last court reaction. This is Vashon Flowers, who is facing murder charges. A quarrel about smoking led to Vashon's fatal shooting of his wife, Jamie Tomas Flowers. During his court hearing, the victim's daughter told the court what happened.
He was irritable and said that he was a grown man. If he wanted to buy cigarettes, he would buy cigarettes. And he got down on the ground and started choking my mother. Actually, I heard, "You don't have to do this, Vashon. Please don't do this. You don't have to do this." And then I heard gunshots. You recall how many you heard? 4. I got up and I left out of the room. She was sitting straight up against the wall. Yes, on her shirt. Gunshots, bullet holes in her shirt and blood.
But the victim's son, London Thomas, couldn't control himself during sentencing. Vashon received a life sentence in jail after a lengthy trial.